Hello, good morning, love wrestling. It is Thursday morning. It is 10 a.m. You see Drew, you see myself, and y'all know that means it's another edition of Firmly AEW right here on Love Wrestling. Day after Christmas style. Hope everybody who celebrated had a wonderful holiday the last couple days, Christmas Eve, Christmas, whatever you do. Hope everybody had a fun, safe holiday. Hope Santa got you everything you wanted. All that fun stuff. Originally, Drew and I were going to record something for today, but we decided kind of at the beginning of the week, we're like, you know what? We can just go live the day after Christmas. It's not the end of, we'll be okay. We got Sandy already popping in the chat saying hello. We are live today, Sandy. We got Johnny in the chat as well, as everybody kind of circles on in here. So before we start diving into all the stuff we got to talk about, Drew, how was the holiday? How was the last couple days for you?
It was very nice. Saw family, did a lot of traveling. I hate doing that on the holidays because, New York City, and I don't know if I'll ask you when I'm done what you did. Yeah, when you don't have a home that you can have all your family travel to and have one big get together, you have to travel to them. And
Correct.
when you're in a very heavily populated place like New York City, that's a nightmare. So while, I consider myself to be kind of an introverted person, so big gatherings kind of wear me down a little bit.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, I get tired from like being around a bunch of people and being overstimulated by a lot of conversation.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, sorry, I was getting an extra special something made for today. And when it's not me getting like really tired from like being overstimulated in conversations with people, it's the damn travel. The travel is exhausting. It really is. So, but you know what? I'm a sucker for the holidays, and especially Thanksgiving and Christmas. Although this year wasn't really that much in a holiday spirit, but Christmas Eve was nice. That kind of like where I went in the conversation. I played a new game that I'd never played before or heard of before. Yeah, called Blockus. I don't know if you've heard of this.
No.
It's like a Tetris style type of a game where you like have to put blocks together, but you can only put them in certain ways, and then you have to like prevent other people from connecting to their blocks.
All right.
The goal of the game is to get as much or all of your blocks on the board. And then whoever gets the most wins. It's very interesting. I enjoyed it, actually.
I like it. Sandy, I know you just mentioned GTA 6. I think it would be great if Rockstar Games wanted to release a post-Christmas present in that second trailer for GTA 6. I've been waiting. We've been waiting for that one, so we'll see. But
Oh, that's good shit.
You all right? You gonna make it?
Yeah, now I'm gonna make it for sure.
You gonna make it?
With this. This is a hot cocoa.
Oh, it's not
made
even
by-
coffee? It's not even coffee. I expected you to
I don't drink coffee all the time, you know.
You're not a big coffee guy?
I am a can I consider, I don't know. Can I consider myself a coffee guy if I don't drink coffee regularly?
No. Well, I don't know. You can consider yourself whatever you want. It's 2024. But you know, it is what it is. You can identify as whatever you need to identify as. If you're you want to be a coffee guy, but you drink one coffee a year, do it. No one's stopping you. I just didn't know because I happen to be a coffee guy. I have I'm not like insane. Like I know some people, Johnny, I'm with you. I am an iced, even where I'm from in the Northeast, where it's not that cold out today, but you can go outside within the next couple months and it's going to be like 10 degrees. I'm iced all the way. Now I don't do iced. I usually do cold brew as opposed to iced coffee, or I'll get an iced latte because I do like Sandy. I do like me some espresso. I have a homemade espresso machine in my house, like a legit one with a steam wand and everything.
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
That's very
So I consider myself a coffee guy. But there are some days like today, you know, we knew we were going live today, but we didn't really know if we were going regular time or we were going to do like, oh, we're sleeping in day after Christmas, haha, and we were going to be later. But Drew had kind of texted me earlier today and he was like, let's do 10. I can do 10. And I was like, hell yeah.
Americans absolutely do have snow tires.
Yeah, I have snow tires on my car. We have snow tires. They don't come with cars. You have to buy them. Like you have to.
Yeah. Oh, if that's what you meant, Lauren.
If that's what you mean, I don't know if it's the same thing in Canada, but we have snow tires. I have snow tires on my car. It's just one of those things where like cars don't come with them. If you want snow tires for the winter, especially like where I live, you're going to want snow tires mainly for a majority of your cars. You need to go and spend over $1,000 on a set of tires just to take off in 3 months.
I know.
And put somewhere.
Yeah, and some cars come with summer tires. Like sports cars usually tend to come with summer tires.
Yeah. Yes, Sandy, we'll be live. We'll be live. Yeah, we were just going to record this week, but then we kind of chatted about it and we were like, let's just do it on. Yeah. So we're going to be live like normal for the rest of the way here. You know, obviously life, you know, and things like that.
Yeah, this was just for the holiday week.
This was just a holiday week.
But yeah, so that what was really interesting this year, which hasn't happened in, gosh, I can't even remember. It was a white Christmas.
Yeah,
for the first time in at least like 15 years, I want to say. Like it's in the northeast of the United States. It's very like the weather gets very strange around this time of the year, particularly for the last 10 years or so. And I think
it's almost like there's something going on that makes the weather be weird year after year after year after year.
It's almost like around 20, I want to say like 2018 it was 70 degrees on Christmas Day, which is just that is. I like my seasons. I like winter when it's supposed to be winter, and Christmas is winter. I do not want to be outside without a jacket on December 25th. That is insane to me. That's why I can't move down to like Texas and Florida, and aside from the politics.
I was gonna say there's plenty of reasons why you don't want to move down there.
Yeah, there's plenty of reasons why, but another reason is I like it to be cold during winter. When the official season is winter, I want it to be at least 45. Like it doesn't have to be. I'm not talking about I need it to be like -20, but just give me my 30-degree day with some snow once in a while, and especially on Christmas. I mean, that's everybody's dream. That's what half of the Christmas songs are. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, and
Yeah.
it's so to actually get that for the first time genuinely in as long as I can remember, when I thought it was never going to happen again. That's pretty nice. So that got me in a little bit more of the Christmas spirit.
Yeah. I mean, I like the cold. I think the cold. Yeah, I just like the cold. I think if you grow up in a cold area, like your whole life, like you live in an area that does get a winter and does get snowstorms and does get, you got to go outside half hour before you have to leave to scrape ice off your car and warm up your car before you go to work. Like, I just feel like there's a certain level. I don't know. It makes you like, I'm not going to say it right, but like, it gives you like a certain different layer of human. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. Like a toughness, kind of, even though it's not really a toughness, but it gives you like kind of a,
Yeah, right.
I don't. If I grew up in beautiful San Diego, which again, beautiful San Diego would be wonderful, but if I grew up in beautiful San Diego where it's 75 and sunny 365 days a year, okay, like that's going to be a great time. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. There's no feeling that you can comprehend than when you walk outside and it's like 5 degrees out.
Yeah.
And you just get punched in the face by just weather. And you're just like, ooh. And it's just like, it's not like for me, it's not an uncomfortable feeling, but it's just, you walk outside and you're like, oh man, like you're almost impressed. It's so cold.
Yeah.
You know, like you're like, you walk out there, you're like, oh my God. It's just like the wind's whipping in your face. You're like, this hurts, but it kind of feels good. I don't know. And then it's just, I don't know. There's just like a certain feeling of like, yeah, tough. Cold,
Right, like Sandy
walking
said,
through the cold.
If you have good clothes, it's not cold.
Yeah,
You just
and
make
like
sure
that's
you
why
layer up.
I am more of I prefer winter over summer. That's who I am as a human. Like I would rather be cold than be really hot. You know, and that's my main
Same,
reason.
actually.
When
I'm the same way.
people are like, you don't like summer, it's like, no, it's not that I don't like summer. I just prefer fall and winter to spring and summer. I prefer it going towards the cold than the hot, because you can layer up, man. If I'm cold, I can throw an extra shirt on, or I can put a sweatshirt on, or I can put a hoodie and then a jacket on. If it's 95 degrees and I'm sweating my balls off, I only can layer down until it becomes illegal. So I'm trapped at a certain section where I'm still hot and I can't get any not hotter. You know what I mean? Unless I go inside to an air conditioner. If I have to be out and about, I can wear a t-shirt and jeans. I can't get really lower than that without disturbing other people or going to jail. So I feel like when it's cold, you can always layer up to get comfortable. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I've been the same way. I'm like, it's easier to get warmer when you're cold than it is to get cold when you're warm.
100%.
The heat is
100%.
just too much that you're just like, oh god.
Agreed.
You
Agreed.
need like 20 air conditioners facing you inside of
Yeah.
a freeze.
Yeah. Yeah, Johnny. I mean, in the Northeast where I'm at, I get in the summer. See, that's the thing about, and New York's very similar, but like that's the thing about living in the Northeast is we do have all the seasons. Like we experience every single season, because in the summertime it's going to be 95 and humid out there, and then 2 months later it's 40. You know what I mean? Like it's just
And then when you're in the changing of seasons,
everyone's sick.
At nighttime, this one may be what some people now realize is why you do have to be a hardened, tough person when you live in the Northeast, like somebody from New York and somebody from Massachusetts. Sometimes one day it's 60 degrees and the next day it's 30 degrees. Also, sometimes when you wake up in the morning, it's 30 degrees. And by 2 in the afternoon, it's almost 60 degrees. And then at midnight, it goes back down to 30 degrees. It's the weather, and particularly, like I said before, in the past 6, 7 years, it's been unusually warm in winter to the point that there were last year before there was like an inch of snow that fell. There
Yeah, we didn't
was
get
like
any snow the last couple years at all.
700, I think if I remember correctly, it was like 600 something straight days of no snow. So we did our show. We recorded our show early the Tuesday morning
Yeah.
and got off, and then I wake up. When I woke up, and there's snow on the ground, and it's
Mhm.
stuck all the way through Christmas Eve, all the way through Christmas. There's still snow out there.
Mhm.
I'm like, holy
Yeah.
crap! And so to
Yeah,
see
for
that,
you in the city, that's even more. Like, we've had snow on the ground here for, a week and a half. But for New York City to have snow still on the ground, that's pretty good, because obviously the cities with more walking people and just more condensed, like, snow doesn't
right?
really
Well, I'm not in Manhattan,
accumulate inside the
so
city. Yeah,
yeah.
more than it does.
If I
So,
was in
but
Manhattan, probably I would see snow for like 5 minutes and
exactly,
then it'd be gone.
exactly, exactly. But Sandy, no, Christmas is over. Christmas is over.
We
So
could have worn Santa hats on Tuesday's show, actually,
yeah, we could have.
but
We could have. I did
I
not.
didn't
I did
even I
not.
didn't even think about it, honestly.
No, we should have.
Um,
But it's okay. We
so what
survived. I
Christmas
do have one
movies did
lying
you
around,
watch
but
this year?
Home Alone. That's a must. That's a must for me. So we watched Home Alone. I watched Charlie Brown Christmas. That's a must. Watched Rudolph, the claymation Rudolph, with
Oh,
the Island of Misfit Toys and the Abominable Snowman, and that one with the dentist, with the claymation one from the '60s, the best one. And then that was really it. I watched bits and pieces. Thank you, Dan. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas and holiday as well. I watched bits and pieces of A Christmas Story throughout the 24 hours that they do on TBS. That's usually a staple. It'll be on in the background. So you watch bits and pieces. There were a lot of people around me that watched Elf. So I saw Elf, like, bits and pieces. Um, I'm gonna say something that is not gonna be, people aren't
go
gonna
ahead.
agree with me.
Go ahead and say it. Just say it.
Even though I am a big Will Ferrell guy, I like Will Ferrell. Elf, a little overrated for me. A little overrated for me.
All
Not
right.
that
I'll allow it.
a little
I'll allow
overrated.
it.
Not saying it's bad. Not
It's one of
saying
my
it's bad.
favorites of all
Yep,
time, but I
I'm not
understand.
saying it's bad. It's a good Christmas movie. A lot of people have it near the top of the list, and to me, that is insanity. So that is just how I view it, but to each their own.
Yeah. This
But
year,
yeah,
I did something different. So my general go-tos are Elf,
Christmas
The
Vacation is
Grinch.
another good one, Johnny. That's another good one. That's another
Um,
good one.
I know, Dan. I know, but
No,
I'm
no,
gonna
it's
let it
not. No,
slide.
I get it. I
So
get it. Look, it's
I
like
understand.
it's the most recent. Elf is like the most, I feel like, is the most recent movie that's become a Christmas classic, right? Would you say? What is that? What was Elf? Late 90s? No, early to mid 2000s, right? Something around there. It was in the height of Will Ferrell, correct?
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
feel like Elf is the most recent movie that's become like a Christmas staple slash classic, right? So, like, I understand for a whole generation of people, they grew up like that was their Christmas movie. It was new, it was popular, it's good. It's good.
2003 it was. Yeah.
2003. Yeah. So I feel like that's the most recent Christmas classic. Uh which is why I think part of the reason why it gets the love that it gets. And like I said, and I've said the whole time, it is a good movie. I just think when you stack it up against the pantheon of great Christmas movies, it's just not in that top tier. That's all.
Okay. That is a perfectly fine take to
That's
have.
that's it. That's it.
Not how I agree, but we
Yeah.
don't have to agree on everything.
Yeah.
So this year, what I did was, while I would generally tend to watch the um the classics, like Elf, The Grinch, Home Alone.
The Grinch, the cartoon Grinch is also a favorite of mine. The original cartoon Grinch is also a big one.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, I haven't. So what I decided this year was I'm not going to watch the movies that I generally tend to watch.
Mm.
And I'm going to go different. So what I did this year, I watched movies that I either have never watched before, which you're going to be surprised at a couple of them that I've never watched before, or just movies that I haven't seen in a long time. So movies I hadn't seen in a long time, Polar Express.
Oh, no. You're not going to like my take on that one because that's just flat out terrible. That's a terrible movie. The animation is
I mean,
awful.
it's not. Why don't you like it? I mean, I'm
curious. The
like
animation is awful. It looks bad. And it's one of the more boring movies I've ever seen. I think, and again, that came out when I was already an adult. Okay, that came out when I was already an adult, movie-wise, with Tom Hanks. I was already an adult. To me, that movie, that is, I don't go out of my way to not watch it, but
that was actually, so you know what's really funny?
Is that after Elf?
It's the year after.
So technically, then I would assume that would be the most recent classic then, because that is considered. That doesn't even approach my list of things to go out of my way to watch. Not that I even I just don't think it's good. I think it's boring. I think the animation is shoddy and terrible. No.
The animation, yes, I'll agree. They only really cared about the Tom Hanks looking character. Other than that, everyone else looks like some weird nightmare fueled cartoon, if you can even call it that.
You're just gonna run through Christmas movies.
Although the kid's kind of an asshole.
That's what I'm saying. It's just for me, I'm just like, whatever.
But in the end, he gets his redemption story and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So this year, I watched that. I don't know if you've ever seen The Family Man.
Who's in it?
The Family Man is Nicolas Cage.
That was going to be my guess with Nicolas Cage. I like Nicolas Cage. No, I have not.
So it's on what is it, on Peacock, I think. That movie came out in 2000. That's about it's called the classic Christmas story. If you're a father and you don't want to be bothered with your life and you had dreams of doing something else. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. I was getting confused with somebody else. He's supposed to marry somebody, but then he leaves, and then this elf in the form, I think Don Cheadle is the the elf, but he's not really an elf. He's a regular human. He takes him back to what his life could have been had he not gone on the plane to go and become a rich person and married the love of his life, and then he has the 2 kids. And so he gets transported into his life as if he didn't get on the plane. So he has these kids now, and he has no idea what's going on. So the kid actually, the little daughter, such an adorable girl, she thinks that he's an alien because he's acting strange.
Got it.
So it's a really cute movie. I watched now for the first time ever. I watched It's a Wonderful Life. I'd never seen that movie before.
It's a classic. Absolute classic. It's old though. So what was your take? What was your take? Because it's super old.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, it's great.
It's
still to this day a great.
It took a turn that I was not expecting at all.
Yeah.
It became like the Christmas Carol style, like past and I didn't know that was what that movie was about.
Yeah, that's real good. I do want to put up Dan's comment though, because he goes, if we're talking Christmas movies, he said, I've tried hard these last few years to get this idea to take off. He goes, WWE needs to buy the rights to Santa with muscles and remake it with Cena. I mean, Cena would be the guy. Zach, Merry Christmas to you too. Sandy's asking us how long we keep the Christmas tree up. I mean, personally, what I feel like
day after New Year usually.
Oh yeah, I would say through New Year's would be probably normal for most people. They probably keep it up through New Year's, and then maybe the weekend after New Year's Day or whatever, they take it down or whatnot. But I know plenty of people that have kept their tree up like through most of January. You know, I feel like it's become like a winter time thing. Like, you know, people will keep their decorations up like through.
Oh yeah, I've seen some people keep their decorations up until February here.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Johnny's saying that they keep lights up year round on the inside. They keep the lights up year round. So like at the end of the day, like it is what it, you know, it is what you make it. But I would say
I saw Miracle on 34th Street for the first time.
The original or the one with the girl from
the original.
That one's all right. That one's pretty good.
I love the guy that plays Santa.
The classic movies are like the real classic movies, like those ones, like you just mentioned, It's a Wonderful Life. Like nowadays, I feel like people that watch them, I don't know if everybody's gonna get, because when when I was a kid, it was like late 80s, early 90s, right? When you start, I was old enough to like, ooh, you know, like, oh, Christmas, you know. Those movies were still old then, but clearly 40 years later, we're talking multiple generations past the time when I was a child. So I wonder, like in like 20 years, when It's a Wonderful Life is like approaching 100 years old or whatever, you know, like, is it going to hit the same? You know what I mean? Like at some point, things that were considered classics when we were growing up in the, 90s, early 2000s. We
still have a little bit of a ways to go for it. The movie was in 1946. So
so like 20 years. A little bit from 20 years from now, it'll be 100 years. Like it'll be approaching 100 years. Like, do we think, like, at what point is that not going to be a part of the Christmas discussion? Because it's going to be too far removed. Are people in 1945, 1946 going to be watching It's a Wonderful Life every year on Christmas when it's 100 years old? Like, is that going to be too far gone? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I
always
feel
think,
like,
I always think
you know
about
what?
like that.
You know
I think
what?
about like things like,
I'm going to tell you this. Modern music wouldn't exist today without the music from a very long time ago.
I agree. But like now, the stuff that was on the radio when I was a child, some of it is on like the classic stations. Right?
Don't remind me of that, please.
Yeah. In 10 years, for people that grew up in the, late 90s, early 2000s, like you, Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and all these things that you remember as core that's going to be on the oldie stations, man. That's in like 10 or 15 years.
Well, I don't know.
Think
if
about
that.
That's nuts.
You know,
if
but
there
I
even
do
is
think
radio
it's going to go away at some
then,
point. I think oldie stations are going to go away.
That's what I'm saying. So like there's certain musicians, right? Like I think Elvis will stand the test of time. I think the Beatles will stand the test of time. I think there's certain people throughout music history that will stand the test of time. But like honestly, 50 years from now, whether we're still on this planet or not, do you think people are still going to be listening regularly to like the Rolling Stones or the Beatles when they're 110 years old? The music they were making? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
To us,
I feel
it's
like
still,
it'll still be. I think I don't know when, if ever, nostalgia will not be something. That is. I mean, listen, and I'm gonna be real with if anybody here listening or watching this show is in like their early 20s. You have no idea what the hell the 90s were like, pal. Okay.
The best.
You do not have nostalgia for shit.
Yeah, best.
We are the 90s people in our 30s. Okay. You don't, they're like, wearing the like, all these shirts, these 90s style things. You didn't watch the Rugrats. You didn't watch the Wild Thornberries. Shut the hell up about it. Okay, I'm gonna be.
But I
wasn't my fist at the clouds.
Yeah, but that goes both ways though, because like I didn't technically watch the Godfather movies because I wasn't alive, but the Godfather movies are 2 of my 5 favorite movies of all time.
But The Godfather was in the 70s.
Yeah, but but you know what I'm saying? Like, there are people that grew up
I'm talking about kids that were born in 2010.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on.
Thinking that, like, oh, the early 90s stuff is, like,
vintage, man.
nostalgia.
It's cool. Yeah, it's cool. The 90s stuff is in now. The 90s stuff is in now.
That's what I say to you.
You didn't get to live it, dude. The 90s was the best time. It was the best time.
It really,
we had the coolest
And then the last
stuff.
thing I wanted to say, so
Lawrence, that is
we
a
actually
crime
get
against,
into the thing that we're supposed to be talking about.
Lawrence, that is a crime against humanity if that is true, because The Godfather 3 is an awful.
He's got to be joking. He's got to be.
He better be, because the first 2 are
only see the worst one out of the 3.
Yeah, literally. Like, Godfather 3 is not even good at all. Like, as somebody who loves The Godfather, the only reason The Godfather can't be talked about as the greatest trilogy of all time is because Godfather 3 exists, because that movie is ass. Absolute ass. But the first 2 are arguably 2 of the top 5, at worst 2 of the top 10 best movies of all time. So if that is true, Lawrence, you need to get it together. You need to get it together.
I watched Love Actually. I really like that one.
It's good. Love Actually is great.
The Love Actually characters in that movie: Colin Firth, Hugh Grant, Emma Thompson, Alan Rickman, like the
dude from Walking Dead's in there.
The dude from Walking Dead, which it's so weird to see him like that, honestly.
And Chiwetel Ejiofor, Keira Knightley. There's a whole bunch of people. Laura Linney,
Hugh Grant.
Yeah, that's
so many
star-studded cast. But Sandy,
Liam Neeson.
Yeah, Sandy, enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you on Tuesday for Firmly WWE, my friend. Thanks for popping in and hanging out. See you next Tuesday. Thanks for popping in and hanging out for the Christmas talk before the AEW.
Yeah, Bill Nighy, who I really know more from, like, the Shaun of the Dead, and
Shaun of the Dead.
Hot Fuzz. Like, he's such a funny guy, and that's like who's who of famous British actors 100% in that movie.
100%. Yeah, that's a classic. That's usually one we throw. That'll get thrown on once a year. We'll do that one too. That's a classic one as well. I would put that on the list of classics.
The last two movies that I watched were something that I thought I had never seen before, but then my mom told me, "Oh no, you used to watch that with your aunt all the time when you were younger." And then I just had like a break where I just never watched it again, to the point that I didn't remember it at all. Christmas Story.
Oh, it's great. Now, see, Christmas Story has become divisive because there are a lot of haters out there that say, "Oh, it's not good, it's terrible," and I'm just like,
"That's wrong.
Your opinion, you are wrong. Just because it's on for 24 hours a day and it's considered by many to be one of the if not the all-time classic Christmas movie, and you want to be a contrarian and you don't want to go in and lean in with it, is it the one that I watch first? Is it the one that I go to? No, Home Alone is the one that I go to the most, okay? But A Christmas Story is the classic of the classics. There's a reason why that one's on 24 hours every year on TBS, because it is the classic of the classics. You'll shoot your eye out, kid. You'll shoot your eye out, kid. I will not take any Christmas Story slander at all. Yeah. Fragile. Oh,
I did not remember that Fragile.
Yeah, Fragile
was from that movie.
Yeah.
And then I watched
Fudge,
which I didn't even know existed until I finished the movie, and then it was recommended to me right afterwards, the sequel.
Oh, I would never.
You know what, I'm going to be honest with you. I actually liked the sequel more than the original movie.
Well, I assume it would be more. I would, I don't know. When did the sequel come out, though? Recently.
2022, I think it was.
Yeah. See, so that's, I don't know.
Yeah, I was actually legitimately surprised at how much I liked it.
Yeah. Speaking of sequels, you know what was released yesterday? on the social webs was the sequel. They released the first trailer to the sequel of Happy Gilmore 2 yesterday.
Oh, did they?
They released
I
that
didn't see
trailer
it.
where, and MJF makes a brief appearance in it because he's obviously been away filming that movie. But Netflix released the first trailer for Happy Gilmore 2 yesterday on Christmas. Not a Christmas movie, but they released the trailer on Christmas for a reason. So yeah, and MJF is in there. You know what's another underrated Christmas movie, and this will be the last one before we start diving into World's End and stuff like that. Just Friends.
Oh
Just
my
Friends
God.
with
Yes.
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh
Fantastic.
my God. Oh,
That's usually one that I
okay.
watch every year as well. I didn't watch it this year, sadly enough.
I didn't watch it this year either.
When he's the fat kid in high school and he's got the crush on the good-looking girl, and then he leaves and becomes the fancy, good-looking movie exec or corporate guy that he becomes, and he comes home as good-looking Ryan Reynolds, and great movie. Hilarious. His relationship with his brother in that movie is fucking hysterical.
My God.
That is a very and Anna Faris is in that. She's terrific in that as well. That's a great movie.
Like legitimately, that's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah,
and for
that
some
is a
reason,
terrific Christmas movie that does not get talked about in the Christmas movie discussion as much as it should, because it is terrific.
Wow,
love that movie.
You know what? I'm fucking watching that movie today.
Love that movie.
Where can I watch that movie? I gotta find out.
If you've never seen Just Friends, you should, because it should be talked about in the classic Christmas movie realm, and it doesn't for some reason, but it is so good. It is so good.
Guess when that movie came out?
Oh, it's probably after 2006, 2007, maybe something around there. 2008. Okay, but see that, but again, it's not a class. To me, it is, but the fact that it doesn't get talked about, I wouldn't consider that a classic like Elf. I think Elf and Love Actually and like those movies, I think those are considered to be upper echelon, top tier, classic Christmas thing. I don't feel like Just Friends gets the respect. Exactly. I don't feel like Just Friends gets the respect it deserves. But maybe that'll change. That
piece of shit that tries to take her away from
Chris
him.
Klein. Chris Klein's in it. Yeah, Chris Klein's in it. That's got a good cast too. Anna Faris, Amy Smart, who was a big lead female actress back in that time.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, Chris Klein. Yeah, that's a good movie. That's a good movie. All right. We might as well. It's almost been 40 minutes. We might as well start talking about wrestling.
I guess we have to talk about wrestling now, right?
Yeah, we might as well. 40 minutes of Christmas talk. You love to see it. You love to see it. All right. You guys know the drill. It's a pay-per-view week. So what we do here is we go through the pay-per-view card and we will talk about what happened on the said shows with these individuals leading up to the pay-per-view. As of right now,
I believe they're pay-per-view that they've ever had.
I was going to say, as of right now, there are only 8 matches on this card. However, there is a Rampage tomorrow, the last Rampage for the foreseeable future, according to Tony Khan at the tapings.
Right.
So I don't know if they'll add more matches on that broadcast or not. I thought for sure they would be adding more matches yesterday. That was part of the reason why we're live today. Because I was like, they're not going to have 8 matches after Wednesday. That surely will go up to 10 or 11. Nope. Stayed at 8. So yeah, no, it is what it is. But so we have 8 matches going into World's End as of this moment with a Rampage tomorrow. Johnny, we talked about it a little bit. I thought the matches on the show were great. Listen, I thought Dynamite last night was a solid show. It had the feeling of a Christmas. Like, I feel like if you would have missed that episode of Dynamite last night completely, I don't think you would have missed much, if that makes sense. You would have missed good matches. But I don't think you would have missed.
You wouldn't have known who was going to be in the semifinals if you didn't.
Well, yes. Yeah. But like, you would have missed good matches and stuff like that. But I don't think you would have missed, it wouldn't have been a show that you're like, I have to go back and rewatch this kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, you could have been like, oh, I traveled for Christmas. I'm going to watch World's End. I'm not going to go back and watch Dynamite. And you'd be fine. you'd be fine, kind of thing. But I do think
Although
it was a
you would have missed a hell of a performance by somebody who's turning heel, because
that's a different story. That's a different story. That person, story, yeah. But the wrestling last night we had, I mean, come on, the wrestling. I want to say the last 2 weeks of the Continental Classic have really stepped it up. They've really stepped it up. It's been a good tournament anyway, but I feel like
I didn't. So if you remember the week 1 of the Continental Classic, I think that was a month ago.
Yeah.
I came on this podcast and I said,
you weren't feeling it.
Continental Classic isn't doing it for me this year. And they shut me the hell up because it ended up really working this year, I think, more than last year. I feel like I genuinely enjoyed this Continental Classic this year more than last year's.
Yeah. Well, AEW
was of what they're doing. Like, they're not just putting on great matches; they're telling really good stories in these matches too.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look at the Final Four is the Final Four that I picked. So, but anyway, I digress. So on AEW was at
Listen, if you
Hammerstein
need
Ballroom.
lotto numbers, contact this guy. Okay,
AEW was at Hammerstein Ballroom.
Every tournament this year for the last half of this year, in every company, this guy has picked every single person. Every single person.
Yeah. And I swear to God, if it's Dakota Kai versus Lyra Valkyria in that final for the IC championship, bro, take me to the bank. Take me to the bank, because I'll just be sitting here going like this. Okada might be the greatest tournament wrestler in the world. I'm the greatest tournament predictor in the world. This guy right here. Perfection. Anyway, so they were at Hammerstein Ballroom all weekend, AEW. They had the Ring of Honor pay-per-view on Friday night. They had Christmas Collision on Saturday night. And then they taped last night's Dynamite and Rampage at Hammerstein. So they kind of owned Hammerstein for the weekend right in New York City.
And they need to do that every year.
They should do that way more often. And if Hammerstein this weekend did not prove, again, I know everybody harps on ticket sales and things and ratings and stuff. And like, yes, you need to pay attention to those when you're looking at the business. I get that. AEW and I know they're doing it in 2025. They need to rent out buildings that are adequate to the amount of tickets that they are selling. I know Jericho said something about this over the weekend in an interview. Hammerstein Ballroom proved to me that it doesn't matter if you have 2,000 people in the building. If you fill out a building, that crowd was awesome this weekend. And that crowd was loud. It was New York, you expect it. But that crowd was loud. That building looked great. And that felt like some old school AEW to me. And it was because the whole first couple years, they were going to smaller buildings.
It was on a Sunday, that Dynamite taping.
Yeah. At 4 p.m. on a Sunday, by the way. They did that an afternoon taping on a Sunday. And they sold out the building, or pretty damn close to it. And that crowd, and again, I don't know if they added audio or whatever, but that crowd, at least to the show that I watched last night, they were pumped. And I just feel like, again, they weren't running huge buildings their first couple years, but every Dynamite felt big. It felt loud because they were running buildings that fit to what they were doing. If you're selling 3,500 tickets, but the arena you're in seats 11 grand, that is not going to sound good or look good on television, period. But if you're selling 2,500 tickets in a 3,000 seat arena, that's going to sound and look good.
Yeah, I don't know if Arthur Ashe is ever going to happen again.
And that's fine for now. Maybe if you go back and kind of just go to your wheelhouse, maybe it will down the line, because they sold it out before. Because you know why? It wasn't easy to get tickets to AEW because they ran smaller events. Then when they ran a big event where it was a lot easier to get tickets, more fucking people went because it was so hard to get tickets to go to the 2,200 seat arena for Dynamite. But then you open it up and you're going to, and then it's easy. You can buy a ticket for $5 10 minutes before the show because there's 8,000 open seats. The demand doesn't exist anymore. Like, that demand is part of it, you know?
Yeah.
So, anyway. But on Collision, just to kind of keep everybody updated to what happened last night, because obviously at World's End, we are going to be getting both Continental Classic semifinal matchups, and the two winners of those respective matchups will later on in the evening wrestle for the Continental Championship. And on one side, we have, these two matches are going to be wild. We have Kazuchika Okada representing, he finished second in the blue league. I'm sorry, Okada. He came in with 10 points. He is the champion. He is the current defending champion. He came in, he finished second in the blue league with 10 points. So he will be facing in the first semifinal the person who won the gold league. I did not predict this person to win the gold league, but I predicted him to be in the semifinals. So in the gold league, I got the two right, but I had him flipped. But the person who ended up winning the gold league was Ricochet with 10 points. He won the gold league. I thought he'd finish second, but he won the gold league. And so he will be fighting Kazuchika Okada in the first or one of the semifinal matchups. This is a matchup that we've never seen before, or at least I haven't seen before. It might have happened in Japan, but I've never seen it before.
Right.
For me, this should be quite good. Both these matches should be quite good, but we've seen the other one before already recently. But Okada and Ricochet, this is a matchup I am looking forward to. And I think that was the thing about this Continental Classic that stuck out to me the most, was like, not that I didn't feel that way last year with it, but this year there were a lot of matchups where I was like, ooh, I want to see Will Ospreay versus Brody King. I wanted to see Darby Allin versus Will Ospreay. I wanted to see Kyle Fletcher versus Daniel Garcia. And I wanted to see like this one. Like there were matchups in this Continental Classic that when I knew they were happening,
I wanted to
like,
see
oh, Shelton Benjamin and Okada.
Everybody.
Yeah, like, oh, Benjamin and Okada, Benjamin and Fletcher. Like those were matches to me that I was like, ooh, like I Ricochet and Ospreay and Claudio. Like these were, I thought that part of it was way more exciting this year for me personally, was kind of seeing the matchups we were
and as Johnny said, far more unpredictable this year.
I agree. But yeah, so we got the first one
a couple times when you did not expect it at all.
100%.
And Claudio.
Yeah. Okada and Ricochet is our first semifinal, Drew. That's the first one we'll talk about. My gut tells me that the finals is going to be Okada and Ospreay. That was kind of my gut feeling once the tournament was announced and we saw the separate leagues. I was like, I feel like they're going to go towards Okada and Ospreay, but obviously, other things can happen, but I still feel like they're going to go. So I'm going to pick Okada in this one against Ricochet. However, I really like what they're doing with Ricochet. And I really like him becoming a heel, and he's terrific. And I think it's really going to work.
I want him to beat Okada somehow. I just want it.
Well, here's my thing, Drew.
I don't think so either, but as Johnny said, it's been very unpredictable this year. And it would also then lead to Okada could also win and then lose in the final. But
we're going to talk about what my prediction is for this pay-per-view, because I got some fantasy booking coming up here. So
I can't remember the last time I was this invested in Ricochet. Besides how incredibly attractive he is. The whole thing of like his story, can you remember a time in WWE when he was like in a story you were heavily invested in?
In NXT. But on the main roster, no. On the main roster, and look at the guy that he was, the feud to me that I thought, and it was really early on in NXT, and the guy that we're going to talk, that he was feuding with, but him and Velveteen Dream.
Yeah.
That to me was like, and that was right near the beginning of Ricochet's like when he showed up. And I thought right away when they went into that feud with him and the way they were treating Ricochet, I was like, oh, he's a made money star. Made money star. And then he went up to the main roster and that was it.
They did,
and it was just kind of like,
him.
yeah, they were just like, hey, you can do flips. So you're going to be the guy that does flips, but you're going to lose every match.
And he did have the U.S. championship.
Yeah, he won mid-card titles. Yeah, he won mid-card titles, and he was on the roster for almost 10 years he was there. So he was there for a while. But like, and they did starts and stops with them. They gave him mid-card title runs. They gave him, they'd give him a run where he'd win 4 or 5 matches in a row. But then you just knew that Vince didn't buy into him. You just knew. So it was just kind of like, okay, But I thought in NXT, he was used the way he was the first ever North American champion. Like, I felt like he was used in a way that if they would have used him that way on the main roster, he might still be there. But,
yeah,
alas. But anyway, yeah. But him going into this heel, they cut it out. They cut it out on Dynamite last night. But he got like toilet paper thrown at him.
Okay, so apparently... So I saw SP3.
They said they cut it out, right? Or something like that?
I saw the toilet paper.
On TV.
It seems that they cut it out in certain markets for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I saw the toilet paper.
Okay.
I saw him throw toilet paper.
Yeah, he catches it and threw it back. Yeah. Yeah.
And I saw it coming into the ring too. For some reason, some people didn't. I don't know why.
So...
But I did see some people like on social say, yeah I saw that too. So yeah, I did. I was on YouTube TV and I saw it.
Okay. My thing is, so I'm picking Okada.
Special. Like, that's hilarious.
Yeah. I'm picking Okada. I hope it becomes, I think it was SP3 that was like, I hope this becomes a thing for Ricochet. And I'm like, yeah, like I want people to, yes. Yeah. Yes, I would love that. Respectfully, people, don't be dicks. But you know what I mean. Like,
this way he can wipe his ass with it and shove it in his opponent's face.
Yeah, like whatever, dude. But I would be totally cool if that became, how the streamers and Ring of Honor became a thing for certain guys. If toilet paper became a thing for Ricochet, that whenever they threw it in there and he would, play it up, wipe his ass with it, throw it back, whatever. But I would love if that became a thing. I think that would be very fun. One way that I could
him
see
to win.
Okay. Well, I know you want him to win. I don't think he's going to. But one way I could see him winning is, who's not booked on this show at all? The Hurt Syndicate. And the Hurt Syndicate, they made Ricochet look like they made Ricochet look like a nerd last week on Dynamite. But they didn't really beat him up. They just said nobody likes it. They kind of gave him a warning, like, nobody likes a kiss ass, dude. So go figure it out. But they didn't beat him up. He did rip up the card, I guess. But do we think Ricochet just becomes a heel on his own? Or do we think like that he's trying to get into the Hurt Syndicate, that eventually he does? Or do we think that he just kind of becomes this character on his own? Because I could see the Hurt Syndicate maybe getting involved, because there's Johnny, they haven't booked it yet. They haven't booked the rematch yet, at least what I'm looking at. Maybe they do on Rampage tomorrow. I don't know, but they haven't yet. Big Boss, I slightly disagree. That tells me that you don't watch the product enough, my friend, because a lot of these matches have stories, including Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, like that there's all stories built behind here. Now, it's not entertainment stories like the other brand, and that's fine. I like both. We have a show about both here. We talk about both every week. But there are stories in AEW. And also, that's kind of a lazy BS take. So,
well, you know what? I'm not going to say that it's. I'm not going to say bullshit.
Maybe not on his end, but that's one of the tropes forever of AEW doesn't tell stories. It's not true.
Some people need to remember that this is a subjective form of entertainment, and what we like is not necessarily what Big Boss likes, or what,
Correct.
like Sandy, who comes in here, he doesn't watch
He doesn't watch
AEW,
AEW. Yeah.
but that's fine. You can watch whatever you want to watch and not watch whatever you don't want to watch, but don't get on people. Like earlier, there was a comment from somebody that got banned. Whatever the hell their name was, I don't give a shit. About the AEW marks for the pod, whatever.
Yeah.
That's when Big Boss. I don't want you to be discouraged from coming here.
Oh no.
And I know that's not what he was doing. I'm just saying, like if you feel like there aren't stories in AEW, you can have that opinion, but just know that that's your opinion and it's not a fact.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So that second comment, boss, that tells me that you're more of a entertain, like you know what I'm saying? So like this is where the difference lies, right? Is that WWE, I would argue, is a promo-based wrestling company. Whereas the matches are still good. They have good matches. They have great wrestlers. They have a great roster. The stories are better, but they build their stories through their promos. That's how WWE does business. And that's the way they've always done it. They're the best at it. That's why they're great at what they do. AEW builds their stories through matches. Do they do promos and backstage segments? Of course they do. It's a wrestling show. You need that type of stuff. But AEW, where the difference is for me, is AEW does a lot more storytelling in the actual wrestling matches. Their storytelling. Mm-hmm. And the commentators do a better job of telling those stories through the table or at the table instead of just having the wrestler come out week after week and cut the promo and tell you the story of what's happening. So I feel like those are the two differences. So like me personally, I love both styles. I actually, like you, Big Boss, if you were going to ask me which I prefer the WWE style of story building. However, with that being said, I think those are the two differences. Is WWE dictates their stories through promos and the matches are kind of the end all of the stories, whereas AEW builds and continues matches. Builds and continues storylines through the matches that are happening in the ring. And I feel like that is kind of the main difference when it comes to not the only difference, but like the core difference of how they tell their stories.
Johnny isn't into WWE, but he
exactly
checks us out on Tuesdays.
Exactly. So
it's cool.
Yeah.
We're trying to just let wrestling fans know through these podcasts that we do, is that you don't have to subscribe to the tribalistic troll bullshit social media. And you can just let people enjoy whatever they want to enjoy.
Yeah.
And you can come to a show that's firmly AEW or firmly WWE, talk about the other company, and people aren't going to shit on you for it.
No. Speaking of the devil, did you happen to see that whoever did this deserves a raise? But did you see that TNT on their YouTube had a running loop? You know how like some places will do like the fireplace where you can go on YouTube and you can like put on just the fireplace burning. They had the running loop of Hangman with the house on fire behind him, just sipping his drink.
That was hilarious.
Unbelievable. Whoever came up with that idea
called that out and said, "The fuck?"
Yeah. Whoever came up with that idea, brilliant. That guy deserves a raise. Or girl, whoever, brilliant. That was brilliant. Hilarious.
Yeah, that was really funny.
That was hilarious. Anyway, but I know you said you want Ricochet to win. Who do you think is winning, Drew? Okada? Who's going to be in the final? Okay.
I think it's what you said.
Okada and Will. Yeah. So then on the other side, speaking of like, I know, boss, like, but one of the true stories they have been telling very well is Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, and their friendship that obviously has broken up, and Kyle Fletcher has truly become a top of the card, no doubt star this last calendar, 6 to 8 months here. And he actually had the most points of anybody in this tournament. He won the Blue League, Kyle Fletcher, with 12 points, which was the most points out of anybody. And in the semifinal, for the second time they'll be fighting in just under a month, he will be going up against Will Ospreay, who finished second in the Gold League. He actually tied with Claudio at 9 points, but Ospreay had the tiebreaker because he beat Claudio and they're head-to-head. So Ospreay got in via tiebreaker there. So we have Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher again, which at the last pay-per-view, you could make an argument that these guys had a match of the year candidate at the last pay-per-view with that match that they had. So we get to run it back with Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. I just think this time, Drew, Will Ospreay's getting his victory, and that's going to lead to the final, which we'll talk about next. And you said you're already in agreement. You think Ospreay gets the win here, and we're getting Okada and Ospreay in the final for the Continental?
It would really be like,
imagine Fletcher just beat him twice.
I would just like, my heart would flutter legitimately. Ricochet ends up pulling it off here.
Yeah.
We have been talking about, and like I said, regardless of whether Okada wins against Ricochet, but then loses against Will, they can still tell the same story.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone in the Elite, the new Elite at least, lost their titles so far. Jack Perry lost a TNT title. The Bucks lost the tag titles. So he's the last one. And it would be fitting, I think, for all of the Elite to have lost their titles, for Kenny Omega to then come back and reform as baby faces with them all to fight off the Death Riders. Because we're going to figure out what this whole thing is. Hopefully we figure it out at World's End. Because if it goes past World's End and still, listen, Lost was a fun TV show, but at the end, they still left more questions that needed to be answered, and people got fed up with it at the end. So we're getting to the point now where, apropos, it's a very apropos name, World's End. Let's end whatever's going on with the Death Riders and figure out what's really the thing. The title. We need to see the title. And they did a thing on Dynamite with the briefcase that I thought was very interesting. So when we get to there, we'll talk about that. But we need to have like the definitive direction of what's going on instead of all this weird, random talking of, soliloquies and friggin' monologues going for 5 minutes long that half of it makes no sense. So
fair.
Let's get going on that, please.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of I agree with you. I have a little bit of a different take though, because you did mention somebody that I think we're going to see on Saturday. I think Okada's winning again. I think Okada's winning this tournament again because he's the champion, but he didn't win the Continental Classic last year. Eddie Kingston did.
Right.
And Okada just won the belt from Eddie Kingston. And they've been building up as Okada as the greatest tournament wrestler in the history of wrestling because of everything he's done in Japan. I think he's winning this tournament. And I think Okada's going to win this tournament, and I think Kenny Omega is going to show up at World's End to confront Okada. And then I think it'll be Kenny Omega versus Okada for the Continental somewhere soon. Maybe on one of the New Year's editions of whatever they're going to do. Because I do agree with you. I do agree with you that I do think Okada losing the belt and the Elite losing I think that will be a story that they lean into. I just think And look at what you're saying, very much could happen. And Will Ospreay winning this tournament will shock absolutely no one if he wins this tournament because he's Will Ospreay and he's won everything. I think that Okada versus Omega is the match, though, that Kenny Omega will return, and that will be his first match back, will be him versus Okada. Like, I believe that. And I feel like that is what will happen. So my fantasy booking for the night is that Okada wins. He beats Ospreay. Maybe he even beats Ospreay because the Bucks return at World's End and help him. Or Jack Perry, maybe, because he's been going after Kenny too. So maybe Jack Perry shows up or something like that. And that leads to Kenny Omega showing up at World's End and his return. But I think that would be very cool because I do feel like Jack Perry or Okada is the first match back for Omega. That's the first match back. And I'm trying to think. They just showed that vignette for him a couple weeks ago, promoting him on Dynamite with Omega. I feel like they did that on purpose because obviously he's returning at the beginning of the new year. He's going to be fighting in Japan for Wrestle Kingdom and all that stuff against Gabe Kidd. That's happening like next week or 2 weeks from now.
Gabe Kidd, man.
Yeah. So
Gabe Kidd is something else.
Yeah.
He is so entertaining.
He's gonna be a massive, massive star whenever he decides he wants to come over to North America and wrestle on TV. He is going to be a massive star if he decides to do that. I think he'll be a top guy in Japan first, so it's probably a ways away before that happens. But if he ever makes the decision to say, all right, I'm going to North America to wrestle somewhere, he's going to make a lot of money. He's going to make a lot of money, that guy. He's very, very good. But that's just me. That's me trying to be like more of a fantasy booker. But I think what you said about Ospreay winning is a really good choice too. But I'm going to stick to my guns. I think Okada's going to win it, cement himself as the greatest tournament wrestler ever. And then Kenny Omega shows up and basically says, okay, well, now I want your belt. Like you and me one more time. Let's go. And I think that is what they're going to do there.
But you know what else I just thought of too? What could be a real, like, a bomb in everything that you just said? And it made me think of something from last night too. So last night, before Shelton entered the building to prepare for his match, they kicked out MVP and Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? Why are you kicking out these guys when the Death Riders have literally tried to murder people and they just get to come to the building every week? That just makes no sense to me at all. And it made me think, because Shelton didn't end up getting to the semifinals.
Yeah.
And they're really focusing hard on this heel character of Ricochet. It makes me wonder if, I don't know if they maybe somehow try to help him win. Because remember, okay, I know we're jumping and shit, but last night's show was Shelton and Okada.
Yeah.
Okada shook his hand, but then flipped him off when he walked away.
Sure did.
Who is the next opponent of Okada's? Ricochet. Ricochet.
That's why I said it. Yeah, that's what I said. I said you want Ricochet to win. I said a way for them to do that is if Hurt Syndicate, because Ricochet's been trying to get in with them, and they've kind of said, hey, no, nerd, don't kiss our ass. Like, we don't want to see that shit. Well, he's now in the, he's kind of gone out there and proved it a little bit by making it to the semifinals of the tournament on his own. Right. That like, hey, I'm not just a nerd, dude. Like, I'm fucking Ricochet. Hello. maybe him going out there and having these last 2 or 3 matches in the because at the time he was what? I don't know if he was like towards the top. He was somewhere in the middle of the classic at the time that they made him look like a nerd. He was in the hunt, but he wasn't like.
I think he had won a match and lost a match.
Yeah.
And it was when he lost the match, that's when.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. No, because he won against Brody King.
Yeah.
And he
had 6 points or whatever, because he told Shelton in that thing, he was like, hey, if you win tonight, you can tie me with 6 points and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like he was kind of being but they were like, don't be a kiss ass. We don't like a kiss ass. But they didn't beat him up. They could have easily beat him up and said, no, like, hell no, you're never, the typical. They didn't, though. They just said, get out of here. Like they kind of, it was almost like a warning.
Yeah,
it was almost like a warning. Like, don't be a kiss ass, but get out of here. Like, we don't dislike you, but no, don't do it that way. Maybe he went out there and he proved to them. Maybe, you never know. Maybe they do get involved. I just, the way that I look at it, I'm like, are they really going to do Will and Ricochet again for like a 3rd time in a month and a half? Like, is that what they're going to, like, we literally just saw it on Collision. Like that was the match on Collision. Like, are they going to give it to, you know what I mean? Which is the only reason why I'm still picking Okada. But I think, like Johnny says, I think there is a case for Ricochet winning this whole thing. I think there is a strong case that he could. But I just have a hard time thinking that they're going to go to Will and him again, because I don't think Fletcher will beat Will again. And Fletcher and Ricochet, to me, is not. That's two bad guys. It's 2 heels that the crowd doesn't like. I don't think that's the final. So you're either going to go back to Will and Ricochet for the 3rd time in 7-8 weeks in the finals, a week after we just saw it at Collision. Or you're going to do Okada and Will, which is a match that we haven't seen in AEW yet. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
But I think there is a case for Ricochet. I really do. And I think the Hurt Syndicate, who are not on the card, who are not on this card, any of them in the Hurt Syndicate, I think them showing up to do something, it would be during a Ricochet. Where else are they going to show up on this card unless they get involved in the main event with Lashley, I guess, with the title?
Right.
But like, other than that, Ricochet would be where they would get involved.
And then being, it's like, oh yeah, now MVP wants him because he won the title.
Yeah, that would make sense. But I feel like Ricochet is really the only place on this card that they could show up where it would make the most sense. But there is, that's a good point, Johnny. That is a good point.
Well, there's no interference allowed. But there's cheating allowed.
They've
the ref
kept to
cannot
that.
See things.
Yeah, but they've for the most part, I will say, in the last couple of years of the Continental Classic, they've kept to that. There really hasn't been a lot of.
Well, no, there's been no interference.
Yeah, so they've kept that rule pretty.
This Continental Classic, and especially from Ricochet. Ricochet has been doing things.
Oh, he's been doing
like the whole match with Will last week.
Yeah.
Was like he's pushing the referee into the rope so that this way Ricochet that Will loses his balance, and then I mean, like, and the ref could have easily drew the match out.
Oh yeah.
That's the thing. That's the funny thing about these matches. The past couple of matches with Ricochet, the referee can easily just throw the match out, but they don't.
Nope.
Ricochet was literally using the referee against Will, and the referee was just like, oh, well, okay, 1, 2, 3. And then on the match last night with Darby, put him through a fucking table, and the referee did nothing about it.
Yep. I don't know.
So that's what makes me think maybe Ricochet somehow pulls it off against Okada, because they've used this tournament 2 weeks ago. Ricochet that was when the Brody King match happened.
Yes.
2 or 3 weeks ago. And he started, he took the turnbuckle pad off, and like he was starting to act a little bit heelish in that match. That was only a few short weeks ago.
Yeah.
And now, just a few short weeks later, people are talking about him being a big heel for this company.
He's going to be.
The Hammerstein run this week turned Ricochet into a bona fide heel.
Yeah.
And his reactions going forward are going to be a direct result of this week.
Yeah, I would agree.
So he's not getting cheered anymore.
No. He was. I mean, he'd been getting mixed for a while. So now this is just full-fledged heel for Ricochet, which I like. I think that'll be fresh for him because he hasn't been a heel in like 8 years. Because in WWE that he did not present him.
He was never a heel in WWE.
He was never a heel. So I feel like for someone like me who didn't watch a lot of his indies or Japan stuff or other things, this is really the first time that I get to see this guy be a heel. And that is fresh to me. That feels incredibly fresh to me. And I think it's going to work. It already is. All right, let's continue along. The only match remaining that is not for a championship is for a diamond ring. The AEW.
Which apparently they're now selling diamond rings on Shop AEW.
Of course they are. A singles match for the AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring. You want to talk about stories? This story's been being told for a year and a half. MJF going one-on-one with Adam Cole. Baby. We saw on Collision, they had a face-to-face. This was a good little thing with MJF and Adam Cole. MJF taking some liberties with his speech, talking about Adam Cole's relationship with Britt Baker, saying that his dentist isn't seeing him anymore and things of that nature. Threw that line out there. I thought the promo session back and forth was pretty good with these two. These are two guys that I like a lot, but these are two guys that need to get the hell away from each other and do other things. And I'm afraid that when we get to Saturday, what's going to happen on Saturday that we've been talking about here for a few months now is not going to get them away from each other. But I think MJF yet again will win. He will keep the Dynamite Diamond Ring for the 5th straight year. But I think part of the reason why MJF will win is because Adam Cole's boys, the Kingdom, maybe even Roddy as well, but at least the Kingdom with Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, we're getting a full-on role reversal 1 year in the making where Adam Cole is going to get all his friends to turn on him. And Adam Cole will lose to MJF because of it. I feel like that's where they're going. I hope it leads to Adam Cole kind of just fighting his friends and like leaving MJF to the side and just fighting his friends for a little bit. And then MJF can go do other things. But I don't know how they get away from each other, if that is going to happen. But I am pretty convinced that we are getting, like I said, a full 180 from last year's World's End. And Adam Cole is going to be the one that all his friends turn on this go-around, Drew. And I think MJF keeps the Dynamite ring for one more year.
So that's what I think. Went to Shop AEW. And so you can pre-order the AEW Dynamite Diamond Ring replica.
Why would you? Why would anybody do that?
$150.
Why? Why would anybody do that? I know people will, but I mean, if you have it, do what you want. But why?
You can only get it in one size. It's a ring, so it's like, okay.
Yeah, but you wouldn't wear it. Weird. If you listen, I think people that buy title belts and wear them are nerds. If you buy the Dynamite Diamond Ring and wear that, you're a nerd. You're a nerd.
So sorry. Cue me in 3 weeks holding up the no, I'm kidding. I'm not buying this.
You're a nerd.
If I bought it, though, would you call me a nerd? Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. This is what he really thinks about me, ladies and gentlemen.
Here's my thing. People that buy those titles,
true, and I've worn them. I didn't bring them to show
2 events,
but you know, no, I don't
wear them around the house. I don't give a shit if you wear it around the house, Drew. I don't care about that. That's fine.
I definitely will not agree and say I bought them so that this way I could HBK them. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Did not do that one time.
My thing is, if you want to buy again, if you have the money, you do whatever you want. You're a fan. I'm not judging. Well, I am judging you, but like I'm not. However you want to live your life, you live your life.
Eventually, you'll see them.
To me,
like
to me, $300, $400, $500, like the AEW titles, like $700. Like you don't. Again, if you have it, spend it however you want. But you don't have better things you can buy than that with that type of money. Now, if I had a bigger place like that, if I had, more room on the wall, or I had more of a bigger, entertainment room, office, man cave, whatever you want to call it, I could easily see myself
what is
buying.
that, like a small bedroom that you turn
This is
into
like, yeah, this would be like it's really an office. It's super small. Like it's really just this big. But I could see buying a title and having it like framed or put in a plaque and having it hanging up on the wall. Yeah. I don't understand the mindset of grown adults, not children, grown adults, buying those title belts and then wearing them or bringing them to shows. And again, I'm not judging you as a human. If that's what you do, I just don't get that mindset because you did not fucking earn everybody. What that to me, what do you think, that people are going to walk by you and think that you're a champion? You didn't earn that shit. You look like a clown. You look like a clown. To me.
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's my vibe. That's my vibe.
I don't understand people buying titles and wearing them to shows either.
Makes no sense to me.
Keep them in your house.
Yeah,
you paid a lot of money for that. I would never.
Are you? If I bought one of those, obviously I would be walking around this house doing fake entrances, and I would be doing that all the time if I had one of those belts. But I'm not going to wear it outside to public, and people like, oh, this guy's got a belt. Look at him. He must be a big deal. No, I'm a loser who bought this off a fucking shop. That's what I am. That's what I am. And I say that people, I don't say that disparaging.
People are only bringing them to wrestling shows. I've never seen somebody wearing a title belt.
No. If I did, I would
on the
run
beach
in the other. I would run in the other direction. If I did, I would run in the other direction. But like, it's just a weird thing. It's just a weird thing.
The only thing I would say is acceptable. Which actually, now that I thought about this might be something that I do at some point.
Oh, that you're gonna do? Okay.
WWE, when they do, because I went to WWE World this year for WrestleMania season,
those are fun.
In WWE World, it's such a fascinating, cool thing.
It's wild.
It really is. They let you do your own entrances to whatever wrestling music.
You could bring a belt to that. Yeah, I guess you could bring one of your belts to that and use that as part of the entrance, right? Like you're the champ.
Right. So like I have the blue Universal title. So if I want to do a Roman Reigns entrance, you bring the title with you. And that's like, that adds to the experience, But if you're just going to like a regular Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite,
just one thing. And again, I have no, I'm going to call you a nerd because that's what I'm going to do. But I am a nerd. I am myself a nerd. So like I say it kind of ragging on you, but I don't say that with a negative connotation because me and Drew get together 2 times a week and talk about wrestling on a podcast. We're nerds. We are nerds. That's just one thing to me, the titles and bringing them to the shows. I'm just like, I don't understand. I don't understand. But
Collision's rating last Saturday was phenomenal.
Good.
I don't care.
Was it on at a weird time? Was it on? It was on a normal time, right? It was Saturday night at 8, right? Yeah. Good. I'm glad they did a good rating.
635,000 viewers.
For Collision?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
What was?
I don't care about ratings. I don't care. We don't care about ratings that much. That's a lot of people.
Before, right?
Yeah, there was a college football game. So, I think take it for what it's worth. But because I know he's a very divisive, but Meltzer did put on social media, he was like, there was a college football playoff game right before Collision as the lead-in. So if the number is,
well, it wasn't the game. It was like some analyst thing.
No, there were games. They had 3 playoff games on Saturday.
But when I turned on TNT, there was no game on. It was like somebody talking about a game.
Yeah, because the game just ended.
Oh, okay.
The game had just ended, so they were kind of doing like the recap, and then it was okay. Here's Collision, kind of thing.
Got him.
So yeah, but I do remember seeing Meltzer say on social media is that he was basically like, "Hey, if the Collision number is a lot higher than normal, it's because there was a college football playoff game that kind of led into it or whatnot."
Well,
that's a
should lead
ridiculously
into
high.
every week.
Yeah, that's a ridiculously high number for Collision. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, they were getting like 300,000.
Yeah, like Dynamite doesn't even do that some weeks, or like that's a low Dynamite week for crying out loud. What do you think's going on? What's your prediction with MJF and Adam Cole here before we move on?
MJF is winning.
Yeah. Do we think anybody's ever going to win that diamond ring besides MJF, or is he just keeping it forever?
I think this will probably be his last year.
Yeah,
I think this will be his last year.
Okay.
Because so what I was laughing about when I went to AEW shop, the size that only one size it comes.
Yeah, why would they do that?
It's size 11 in parentheses MJF size.
Yeah, because they probably just took the mold from him. Yeah. So you would have to spend $150 on that ring just to get the ring. And if you were ever planning on like actually using the ring, you would have to then bring it to a jeweler and pay for it to get resized for your finger. So you would have to be spending more than $150.
The way that this was introduced as a thing was MJF saying, "I'm allowing AEW to make copies of my ring."
Yeah.
So it's only his ring that you're buying, not a ring for yourself.
Yeah. And Asian Joe
for
saying
that I understand.
Asian Joe saying
if this was going to be like a. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying, Asian Joe saying that he loathes the diamond ring, and he's saying, "Please retire the mother."
Why?
I mean, I don't loathe it, but it is stupid. It is stupid. It was fun the first couple of years. Like, what does MJF really need to go back to this every year?
It's his heel.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's like become a defining thing of his character.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like it's getting a little old.
I think next year he's going to win it this year, but I think this is the last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're getting to the point now where like he should lose it to somebody. And Asian Joe says because it's not being used as intended. So there you go. That's why he.
How was it intended to be used?
I bet.
Because I'll just say, if it was not intended to be used as a weapon for a heel to win practically every match,
well, I think it was supposed to be intended.
It has been used the way.
But I think now, because I think it's supposed to be used to kind of prop somebody up in the roster. The first final was Hangman versus MJF, but it was both before they were main event guys. And I think that was the intention was, oh, you won this, and that's going to kind of lift your profile a bit because you won the diamond ring. And now that MJF's profile is at the top, it's kind of, it still leans into his heel character, but we all know he's already like, you know what I mean?
I have never thought of the diamond ring as something that uplifts.
Yeah, because it's only been on MJF. That's why. When MJF first won it, when MJF first won it, that is 100% how it was presented. Was this young blah blah blah. He's a dynamite diamond ring. Yeah, exactly. That's it. That, like Joe says, they had that giant brass ring on that's what this was supposed to be. Remember that when they had the brass ring on the ladder match they had? Who won that? Was it Scorpio Sky that won that? I think it was Scorpio Sky that won that. But like,
they remember that a few times.
Yeah,
but I remember Scorpio Sky winning. Stupid. That was because of that was just a WWE dig. That wasn't really,
Yeah, but
you had to grab the brass ring, Vince.
No, I agree, but that's what the Dynamite Diamond Ring was supposed to be, kind of as well. Especially the first one when MJF won it originally, and now we're just at the point where it's just become a prop for MJF, whereas that could be floating around mid-carders to kind of give mid-carders another thing to, at least that was the initial intention for me when it first came out. And then it's just been, we're just going to keep it on MJF for 5 years to create another match for him every year. It just feels like it's kind of just, I don't know. He doesn't talk about, like, he uses it as weapons throughout the year, but they don't talk about it until they get to this point of the year every year. And then it matters.
Here's my thing, though. It's been 5 years. You got to let it go. if you really still think 5 years later that's what the intent of the ring was, that's a problem.
But I'm of the belief that it's been 5 years. AEW needs to let it go, as in this thing shouldn't exist anymore. That's my personal opinion.
You're considering it to be something that it is not. It's a tool for MJF to win his matches as a heel.
Okay, then why is there a match? But why is there a match for it then? If it's only a tool, why are we having a match that is for the ring on Saturday?
Because it's like the Continental title.
Yes, but you're saying that it isn't, though, because it's just a tool to make MJF a heel. Well, if it's just a tool, then we wouldn't be having a match for it.
No, this is what I'm saying. I'm saying that the ring itself is a prize that people fight for. It just so happens that MJF has won every year, and what MJF uses it for is to attack people to win his matches.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Johnny, we can talk about this. So, I think that's what we're going to get here. I originally thought that Roddy would also turn on Adam Cole. But now I'm thinking otherwise. I'm thinking it's just going to be the Kingdom. And then we're going to be leading to MJF and the Kingdom versus Roddy, Kyle, and Adam Cole.
I think at some point,
I feel like that's where we're going
mid-year.
Now. Yeah.
Maybe mid-year, the Undisputed Era will be reunited as heels. I think as of right now, they're I think I might have said this last week. I don't remember. About maybe they have just Matt Taven and Mike Bennett turn, and that they join MJF, which I really don't know why they would join MJF, but say they just join MJF and it's those three, and then Roddy and Kyle join back together with Adam.
Yeah. I think that's what we're going to do. And then I could also see them do that. And then I could also see Roddy turn on Adam.
Right. Which is what I originally thought that was what was happening.
You know what I mean? Like they do the 6-man where it's MJF and the Kingdom versus Kyle, Roddy, and Adam. And everyone's like, oh shit, the Undisputed Era is back. Like this is cool. And then Roddy turns on him and goes, yeah, remember when I was out because I broke my arm? That wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for you. Like that only happened because I was here helping you, my friend, dealing with your bullshit. And I lost 3 months or 2 months or whatever it was, broke my arm. He broke my arm because of you. And that could lead to that. But I originally thought that Roddy was going to show up on Saturday and it would be the Kingdom and Roddy turning on Adam and going with MJF. But I do think they're going to reunite Roddy, Kyle, and Adam first now. I feel like they're going that way. And that would make sense if the Kingdom 3 over there with MJF, 3 and 3, you get the Undisputed Era, you get the pop. Oh, they're back together. Woohoo. You know, that kind of thing, which will be cool. But then I could see Roddy turning on Adam maybe after that. I don't know. But I think, Johnny, I hate to tell you, but I think Adam Cole for the foreseeable future, 100% going to be a babyface. 100% going to be a big babyface for the foreseeable future. I don't see him turning heel. I think the guys around him will. But I don't see him turning heel for a little bit. I don't.
There was also the thing I floated of like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if Adam and MJF reunited
as heels and they're a tag team? That would be cool. I'd be okay with that. I don't know. I feel like it would do them both a good service to get away from each other. I just feel like I understand why they're doing this. There were injuries and bad luck and just bad timing. I understand why they're running it back. I get it. And these are two guys that I very much like. Very, very much like. Particularly Adam Cole. Big favorite of mine. These two guys, I think, they need to kind of get away from each other and do other things and be involved with other people. At least for a little bit. Because I feel like everybody's kind of okay. I feel like everybody's kind of okay with this, but I feel like nobody's really jiving with this. Does that make sense?
Oh, nobody's jiving with this.
Yeah, I feel like AEW fans are like,
I've seen way more people shitting on it than praising it.
But I feel like as a whole, as a generality, I feel like AEW fans for the most part were like, we're okay with this. Like we get it. We're all right with it. We're like, all right, yeah, I get why they're doing it, but I don't feel like anybody's like excited at all for this. And these are two guys that people should always be excited about.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, that's kind of how I feel. All right, let's move forward. What do we got? I think he gets more babyface reactions than heel reactions, Johnny. But yeah, I think there are still some people that, I think it's kind of in the middle.
But same thing with them doing Adam Cole, baby, and all that stuff.
And then the boom, like all that stuff's going to be, all right, we have
a singles. The boom or the boom.
Yeah.
Either boom, people like
multiple booms. There's multiple different booms now. We have a singles match for the AEW International Championship. It is the champion, Konosuke Takeshita, defending against Powerhouse Hobbs. I would love to see Hobbs get a singles title, but this is not the time right now. This match is going to rule, though. I think this match could be a show stealer. I really do. Takeshita's keeping the belt, though. Takeshita is retaining and keeping the belt in my eyes, Drew. I don't know if you feel differently. I think this will be a great showing for Powerhouse Hobbs.
Yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't mind the Hurt Syndicate maybe looking at Powerhouse Hobbs as somebody to join the crew. I think that would be fun. But I think Takeshita retains in what will be a very good match. A very good match.
Yeah. It's a little weird that they haven't had any TV build for the
not at all. Like I saw this on the card the other day when I was looking it up, and I was like, why haven't I seen more of this like on TV? And maybe it's been on Rampage mainly. I don't watch Rampage regularly unless like there's something on there I have to. Like that's not part of like, oh, I need to watch Rampage. Maybe they have, I don't know. But it feels like to me that's a good point, Drew. It feels like to me they haven't really built this up a lot on TV at all, really.
Since he returned.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't remember the last time he was on TV after that, the like 6-man match.
Yeah, he returned against the Callis family, right? Because of the history. And there's history with Hobbs and the Callis family. He was a member. So, like, I get it. There's history and build to this, but they haven't really... There's been no brawl segments, no match. There's been nothing that's really led to this. But with that being said, I expect the match to be very good. But I think that there's no way Takeshita loses. No way.
Same.
That's how I kind of feel about it. All right, we are then, Drew, we're running it back for the second straight pay-per-view. This to me was still, Fletcher and Ospreay, but this was right up with match of the night at last month's pay-per-view, but they are running it back for the TBS Championship. We are going to see Mercedes Moné defending once again against Chris Statlander. I expect this match to be as good, if not even a little better, than their first match, and their first match was a classic. Their first match was the match that Mercedes needed to have at the time, and she's been on fire ever since, Mercedes. She has been on fire ever since that you could tell that Statlander match put a fire under her and was like, yep. And she's been killing it. Back-to-back months, Drew. Do we think Mercedes just handles business again? Or do we think that maybe there could be an upset? Do we think this is the upset of the show, maybe? I know it's hard to think about with Mercedes, but back to back. They're running it back. How does this go? How does this go? What makes this different than the first one? You know, besides it being another great match, mostly. You know what I mean? Like, are they going to do something different, or is Mercedes just going to beat her again? Straight up.
Honestly, I feel like Mercedes is going to beat her again. She's supposed to be going to New Japan. I think she's going to be wrestling. Is it Wrestle Kingdom she's going to be wrestling at?
Mina. She's wrestling Mina at Dynasty, I think. Wrestle Dynasty, right?
A Dynasty.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
But
I think is that for the
TBS title
and the New Japan Strong? Is that for any of the is that for the New Japan title, or is it for both, or for none? That match with Mina.
I believe.
I know they just announced title. Is it for the New Japan title? Because she's the New Japan Strong title champ, right?
Yeah. That's the purple title she has.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You know,
I'm leaning Johnny. I'm kind of leaning that way too. Kind of.
I don't know. I mean, it would be nice for to me. What?
Oh,
it would be nice for Statlander to.
Yeah. So they're both. So that the Mercedes Mina Shirakawa match is a winners take all. So it's for the Strong Women's Championship that Mercedes has, and it's also for the undisputed British Women's Championship that Mina has. So it's champ versus champ, winner take all.
Oh yes, that Mercedes is winning 100%.
She's winning that one. So does that mean? So is she going to have 3 belts? Is she going to become a belt collector? That's what they're going to do.
I think that's definitely happening. Yeah. That's definitely happening. Come on, you see her character with those 3 belts. It's gonna rock that.
Yeah. Have you seen this fucking card for Wrestle Dynasty that they have lined up right now?
I have not. No.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna go. We're not gonna talk about it, but I'm gonna go through it right now. There's 11 matches, right? And this is
so it's an AEW pay-per-view.
Well, it's a counter promotional. It's a promotional, a co-promotional pay-per-view with AEW, CMLL, New Japan, Ring of Honor, and Stardom. Okay? Look at some of these matches. Willow Nightingale versus Athena versus Momo Watanabe versus, Persephone? I don't know. I messed that one up.
Well, I only know 2 people in that match.
Yeah, but that's a 4-way, and the winner will receive a championship match from their promotion. Or from a participating promotion of their choosing. So that's just a straight up 4-way.
That's a cool match there.
Yeah, so like Athena could win that as the Ring of Honor representative and say, all right, I want an AEW championship match. Like she gets to pick what promotion, I think. Okay, you ready for this? Zack Sabre Jr. going one-on-one with Ricochet.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be wild.
Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd.
Before? That must have happened at some point.
I've seen it live. I saw it live. WrestleMania 32 weekend in Dallas. There was a independent wrestling show on the afternoon of the NXT show. So Saturday afternoon. And it was at a barn. It was in a fucking barn in Dallas, Texas. And the semi-main event was Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ricochet. So I don't know if it's happened on TV before, maybe in Japan. I don't know if it's happened on TV before, but I've seen it. I've seen it live. That should rule. Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd. Claudio Castagnoli versus Shota Umino. We have for the vacant, yes, agreed. For the vacant IWGP Tag Team Championships, we have the Young Bucks fighting against Great-O-Khan and a partner to be announced, whoever that is. We have Mercedes Moné versus Shirakawa, and yeah, that's it. There's other matches too, but those matches, I'm just like, that's building up to be a big show there.
Yeah,
obviously. But anyway,
I wonder who that mystery opponent is going to end up being.
That's what I'm like, who could that be? Who could that be? Because it's going to be something to do. Is it Moxley? Maybe? I don't know. Who could it be? Who could it be? Anyway, let's get back to this. Moxley. So we have, where are we at? We just talked about Statlander and Mercedes. I'm gonna pick Mercedes Moné on that one, even though Statlander. I'm torn. I think Statlander has a chance. I really do, but I'm gonna pick Mercedes to retain. All right, we are down to our final two matches of the show. We have a Tijuana street fight for the AEW Women's World Championship. It is Mariah May defending against Thunder Rosa. Tijuana street fight should be violent, should be weapons, should be bloody. We've seen Thunder Rosa in her fair share of street fights and violent matches in AEW. I'm looking forward to this because Mariah May has also been violent at times. And I think this is going to be fun. It is going to be violent. But I also think that there is no friggin' way that Mariah May is losing this belt in this match. No way.
No, definitely.
I like Thunder Rosa, but no. Mariah May is 100% retaining in this match. But I do expect this match to be violently fun.
Although it would be funny if she actually lost and then Tony Storm went up to her and was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
Yeah, great effort. Good luck. Yeah, you get him next time. You'll get him next time. Yeah, Tony Storm. You've been seeing these mockumentary things they're doing with her, kind of thing.
Yeah,
where the camera's following her. She's like before the shows, and she's just everyone's looking
we
at her.
Talked about the Mark Briscoe one last week.
Yes, yeah, they did. They did another one at
Genuinely funny.
It's tremendous, just tremendous stuff. So you're in agreement with me that Mariah May is not losing.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Then we have our main event. It is a 4-way for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. It is the champion Jon Moxley defending against Orange Cassidy, against Switchblade Jay White, and against Hangman Adam Page. This should be fun. I think a multi-man match was the way to go. I like kind of what they've been doing with OC, Hangman, and Jay White. I think it's been interesting. They did the thing last night on Dynamite that I know you wanted to talk about with the briefcase or whatnot, the briefcase thing, which I thought was a lot of fun. So talk about that a little bit. And then why don't I'll let you go first this time, obviously. Who do you think? Do you think this is an easy Moxley retain? Where's your head at with what we saw last night, kind of the build the last couple weeks, and what you think is going to happen on Saturday?
See, you said, where's your head at? And now I have the song stuck in my head. Thank you.
Where's your head at? Is that one? Where's your head at? That one? That the Basement Jacks? Right? Something like that?
That's
Basement Jacks? They had the music video with the monkeys, and the monkeys was singing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fucking creepy music video.
Yeah.
But cool. So Mox, I'm like, where's Moxley? Because all the Death Riders are attacking the baby faces, but Moxley wasn't around. So finally, Moxley comes in and clocks Jay White with the briefcase, and then they all gang up for the first time and are a unified force against Moxley.
Yeah.
The briefcase is laying in the ring, and one person goes to grab it, and one person puts their foot on it, and Orange Cassidy just stands there with his glasses on, and nobody opens the briefcase.
Yeah.
That's because the title is not in the briefcase.
No, that title wouldn't fit. The title wouldn't fit in that briefcase. The title's huge.
The whole thing has been restoring AEW to its glory, and the briefcase is right there with not a Death Rider in sight, and you don't open the damn briefcase to take the title out, the title's not in the briefcase.
Correct.
So
correct.
That will be I don't know if there's going to be like some sort of grand reveal at World's End that the title's not in the briefcase, or if it's just the briefcase is just a thing and they're not going to give a shit about it.
Yeah.
I want now the what my thing for that has been, and I've talked about it before. Moxley wins the match, and then we need to get like a new something going on with this Death Rider story.
Yep.
So my prediction, if you've been watching the show, you clearly see my predictions suck. This guy's predictions are way better.
I don't know why, because my predictions usually suck. But no, I need you to. But no.
Go ahead, Lou. Lay in the spot that's been put
right
for you.
here, Bob. No. I need you to stay right here. Yeah. Yes. There it is,
Yes,
baby. Look at him. Look at him. Anyway.
There we go. There we go.
It is. He did what he was supposed to do. It's been a while. He's been messing with my audio for like 2 straight weeks. Because he plops his ass down right on my friggin' microphone. Anyway, continue.
Yeah, so my thing is Moxley wins the match. They go to give him the briefcase because, the briefcase is the title. Then maybe the baby faces fight them off again.
Yep.
And then someone, maybe Orange Cassidy, goes and is like, let's take this title out of this briefcase. Finally, let's free it from the wrath of the Death Riders. Open the briefcase. No title. And that's because Jack Perry blindsides Orange Cassidy. And it reveals the new Death Riders AEW World title, symbolizing the world's end of AEW. It's like, oh, so now we're going into 2025 and the Death Riders are as strong as they've ever been. And this, Jack Perry designed the way that he did the TNT title. AEW title is now the championship until the Death Riders eventually lose it. And that's what I think it would be the best way to, because we got to see a fucking title already. It's been months. Like the only time I've seen the title in the last 2 months is when the Marks bring it to the damn shows. So you know what? You're calling them nerds and shit, but that's the only way I get to see the AEW World title these days.
I do find it funny. Like, I do feel like we need to see. I don't necessarily think there. I like the idea, kind of like Spencer's saying behind the Love Wrestling stuff. I do like the idea, and I think it would be a good idea. But we need to see some sort of title. We need to see some sort of title here. Like at some point, like they need to either show us the old AEW belt that the crowd will cheer for because it feels like months since we've seen it, or we need a new
since Wrestle Dream.
They didn't show it once, yeah.
He won it at Wrestle Dream,
and they put it in a bag.
A briefcase.
They put it in a bag at first, right? They put it in a bag, and then he had a bag, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's been like almost 3 months.
Yeah. So are they holding out until somebody beats him, and then they're gonna bring the belt back up, and everyone will be like, "Yeah!" Like everyone, there's the belt. I think about
he did cut. So he did cut the. We should talk about this too because this was important. He did. He cut a really, I think, one of his better promos at the end of Dynamite last night, where he was. I got to paraphrase because I don't remember the exact wording, but he said something like that, being the champion, like alluding to the title not being what being a champion is. The champion is, you're the champion in your heart.
Yeah.
There is no title that says you're a champion. There's no anything that says that you're a champion. When you've won that you're the champion. And he went into like how the ego-driven business of people with the titles and people thinking that this is what they want, but they're never really going to fight for what they truly want. And that's what his whole thing has been as the AEW champion. It's not about showing the title. I mean, the thing is that it is about showing the title, but as a heel, he's not showing the title because he knows people want to see it. So having it finally come back, and even maybe if it's not even Jack Perry, maybe they just redesign a new world title for the Death Riders
Yeah.
specifically. That is like a mangled, either that it's a mangled version of the AEW title, or it's just a totally different new title. But we can't go into 2025 with this briefcase still. Like
No.
it's gotta they gotta stop that.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I've been seeing you two having a play attack with each
He's
other.
he's biting the shit out of me. You see have you seen his arms and legs like coming at me?
Yes.
Like he's a psychopath. I'm listening. I promise.
Yes,
As the
yes, I know.
psychopath is trying to rip my arm off. But it's fine.
But I there's gotta come a point where we get out of the lost version
Yeah,
of the Death Riders and
I
we
agree.
progress the story in some way,
I agree.
whether it be Jack Perry joining with them or a new title being brought out. Or,
Do
listen,
we think go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
we worked, some people, not everybody. Some people worked themselves into thinking that there was a leader
Well, I mean,
of this group.
they at first they kind of made it seem that way.
Well, right,
But
and
then
the
they
fans
went away.
took it.
They went away from it, and they've been away from it long enough that the people that still think something like that's happening, like I don't know where your head. I don't know where you're speaking. I don't know where your head's at.
Yeah,
Still thinking that way. But at the beginning, they were very
yeah,
out
because
front about
John
greater
Moxley,
power and greater
yeah,
meaning, and
yeah,
they were hinting towards it,
the greater
you know, at
good.
first. Yeah, the greater good, and
Um, God, I love Hot Fuzz so much. Uh, the and then the Shane McMahon pictures and people, but we've moved on from that, and I no longer think that they're a leader. I
yeah,
think that we just need to, and there have been backstage things that have kind of leaked here and there that this is really just a Moxley driven story because
mhm,
Moxley was kind of fed up with what was going on as a shoot, not as a work. Was
yeah,
like actually fed up with what was going on
yeah.
at
Didn't like what was
AEW, and
happening.
Tony
Yeah,
Khan wanted to keep him happy. So he's like, "Oh yeah, here you go. You win the title, and you can do whatever you want with it, basically." And this has all just been John Moxley's
like idea.
like fever dream of what he feels like booking the world title is, and not everybody is a fan of it.
Hmm.
Uh, I will say I was definitely a fan of it in the beginning. I have now kind of soured on it a little bit. I mean, it's not like go away heat with me at all. It's not like, oh, Death Riders changed the channel, you know?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
still like compelled by John Moxley because John is just and he's an incredible storyteller. Like I
Mm,
know Bob, if you're still here, Bob, not Bob, King, whatever you think, Big Boss.
boss.
Um, it the stories are there. You just don't like the stories, which again, like I said, is totally fine.
Yeah, of course.
But it's 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 just that sometimes, even though you can be a great storyteller, like John Moxley is, the story isn't always the greatest story. Like I'm compelled by his promos. His
Hmm.
promos fascinate me,
Oh, they're fantastic.
but the material behind the promos sometimes are just like,
Yeah. And Johnny's saying he goes the vignette with the signal flare has to mean something. They've shown it a lot.
it could also just be a signal flare.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily like this. See, this is the thing, Johnny, and I'm not putting you down when I say this at all because I love you, but that's similar to like the Shane McMahon thing of like, Oh, well, not one person on TV has said Shane McMahon is coming to be the leader of AEW's new group here.
Mm.
But we all worked ourselves into it because of those pictures. The
Yeah.
signal flare doesn't necessarily mean that Jon Moxley is calling out for somebody.
Fair.
You can come up with that in your mind, which you have, and I've seen that with other people too. I know it's not just you, but it doesn't mean that that's what's absolutely happening. So don't get yourself into this mindset now where it's like, oh, the signal flares, that means at World's End, some major, thing is happening. A Shane
Yeah.
McMahon or, whomever. Uh, like I've been predicting maybe Jack Perry. Is the signal flare Jack Perry? I don't know. Maybe it is, but maybe it isn't. And I'm not reading into the signal flare
Hmm.
as, oh, that means that somebody's coming at World's End or at any point, because that's when you hire your expectation for something based off of something you'll
Yeah.
personally enjoy, and
Hmm.
then when that thing doesn't happen and it's something else or nothing, then you're let down. And you weren't let down because of the show necessarily. You were let down because something that you fantasy booked didn't happen. So,
Correct.
they're telling the story the way that they want to tell the story. If they want to shoot a signal flare, they're shooting a signal flare. It doesn't mean that there's going to be something behind the signal flare. It just means that they wanted to shoot a signal flare. If John Moxley shot the signal flare up in the air and said, "We're waiting for you," obviously somebody's coming. That means the signal flare is a sign that he's trying to get somebody's attention.
Mm.
But if they're just shooting the signal flare randomly up in the desert or wherever the hell they are in the pickup truck, and they're not even alluding to it or mentioning it at all, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're trying to get somebody's attention. That's all I'm saying. So, don't don't go into World's End saying, okay, this is the main event of the show. A major player is going to be revealed as a new member or the leader of the Death Riders
I don't think
because of
there's
the
going to be a leader.
signal.
I think something major is happening at the end of the show. I don't know what it is. Could be Jack Perry. I don't know. But I think
It
something
could
major
be.
is
And
happening.
I
I
would
think
love
something
that
major is
because
happening.
I've been talking about it. We have, with the both of us, have
Mm.
been talking about it for at least a month and a half, 2 months now. That there had to be something to that little backstage thing with John Moxley and Jack Perry. There had to be.
Mm.
Why would they have alluded to that?
Yeah.
And then also, I think last week we may have touched on when Jack Perry was in the ring for the New Japan show,
Yeah.
whatever show it was, and the Bucks came out. He didn't necessarily like get buddy buddy with them. He may have
Correct.
even had like at one
He
point he
walked
may
by him.
like
He walked by him.
he like just walked by them and
Yeah,
was
he just
like
walked by him.
not.
Yeah.
So there is something maybe happening, but don't go into the show like, oh yeah, this is a definite. The signal flare means this. The Shane McMahon pictures mean Shane's the leader of the Death Riders. You know, because if you're the type of person that's like, I fantasy booked something that's really awesome, but it didn't happen, so now I'm let down by what actually ended up happening. If you're that type of person, don't go into any type of a show fantasy booking because you're not going to have a good time afterwards because usually it doesn't happen the way that you think it's going to.
Unless you're me. So it's just one of those things where, unless you got it, you got it. Unless you got it, you got it. And I got it. So there's going to be chaos in this fatal 4-way. Oh, I said fatal. That's the other company. There's going to be chaos in this 4-way. It's no DQ. You know, the rest of the Death Riders are shown. There's going to be absolute mayhem in this match. I kind of like the rest of the title matches. I don't see a way that Jon Moxley doesn't leave as the world champion still. I just feel like that is not... I'm going into this, and I don't think the only title I could see changing hands, honestly, is the Continental Championship with Okada. That's really the only one that I'm like, oh, that could change hands. But I think it's a sure bet that Monet retains. I think, Statlander maybe. I feel like that could be one.
Oh, yeah, right.
But
yeah, she could.
Takeshita's going to retain, Mariah May is going to retain, and Moxley's going to retain. I feel pretty confident that neither of those three are losing their belts. But I do believe that there is going to be absolute chaos in May.
Hold on. Johnny may have gotten to something there. Honestly, Johnny might have gotten something there. So the signal flares might not be that he's signaling for someone. What do you use signal flares for?
Yeah, if you're lost or you need help.
That someone's lost.
Yeah.
So the signal flares can be see, Johnny, there you go.
Yeah, Moxley is like symbolically saying AEW's lost, so I'm the signal flare. I'm the signal flare that's going to come save AEW. I'm the signal flare. That's why we're doing this. That's why I'm shooting this signal flare up, because AEW is lost and needs saving, and me and my crew are the ones that are going to save it. And I think that is probably more symbolic of that vignette than them throwing out a signal flare saying, we need more help. Because I think it's AEW's lost and needs help, and we're the signal flare that's coming to save them, or we're the group that saw the signal flare.
That goes right along with all of Moxley's promos.
Yeah,
like, I am the savior. The big thing he said he did last night. I'm the king. Mm-hmm. He's the puppet master. He is the one that is in charge. He is the one leading. He is leading by his example.
Yeah.
So there you go, Johnny. You cracked the code right there.
Yeah, we solved it. We solved it ourselves, man. But nonetheless, strong-looking card on Saturday. We know AEW usually does not miss with their pay-per-views. Should be another good one to end.
You know what? Actually, I'm sorry. There's something else from last night that I wanted to mention and just remembered involving this main event. What was this whole thing with Christopher Daniels approaching Hangman Adam Page, going like, "Hey, if you need a friend, I'll be there for you."
I honestly don't even remember that happening last night.
You don't remember that?
I don't remember that sequence at all, and I love Hangman. Was it in the back?
Hangman was in the back, getting interviewed by Renee, and Christopher Daniels walked up to him. I was like, "Hey, I've known you for a long time."
Well, because he's the only loner in the group. Jay White I know they haven't been there, but Jay White has the Bang Bang game. Orange Cassidy has the conglomeration. Moxley has the Death Riders. Hangman's got no one.
Right. So that was exactly what he said in the promo.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, they've got their people. You've got nobody. Yeah. I've known you for a very long time. If you need a friend. And that was like, huh. That's a little random, because Moxley has been, Hangman has been the like this really douchebag, evil guy ever since the Swerve feud.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's that about? But you didn't see it, so I guess you.
Well, I mean, yeah, but even just hearing it, like, I mean, it's probably just what I would think it's what it is. I think it's kind of one of those things where when things break down on Saturday during that match, and there's people out there from everywhere, I think Christopher Daniels will probably show his face as part of like the Hangman. Now, my only thing with that isn't Christopher Daniels now
why Why is
That,
he now, or in a sense, why is Hangman now deserving of help from a babyface, a known babyface in the company? Like, what is this? Are they maybe gonna make Hangman babyface?
I mean, he's kind of gets cheered most of the time anyway, no matter what. He's like one of those guys where, like, he's
It's
the
kind
evil
of it's
bad
very
guy.
quick though. Like the
Yeah,
Swerve feud, it
it's
was
the
it was a couple. What Wrestle Dream was when that last match was. That was only
yeah
2 months ago.
yeah.
They're already going to turn him babyface again.
I don't even think it's a babyface thing, to be honest with. My only thing is, isn't Christopher Daniels like working for the company now? Like, isn't he
Right,
like
he's
a
like
right
their
hand man of Tony Khan? Like he's like a bit
yeah,
like he's like a suit now
right,
back there.
yeah,
So that to me is the only thing that strikes me as being kind of weird, because like there's other wrestlers that are friends with OC. There's other wrestlers that are in the Death Riders. There's other wrestlers that are in the Bang Bang Gang. Yes, Christopher Daniels is a wrestler, but right now his role is he's a suit back there with
yeah,
Tony. So that part of it is different to me, because that's a guy that's higher up, that's a guy that's in the hierarchy of like the running the show type side of things. And for him to be like, hey, I'll come help you if you got nobody, that strikes me more of like, oh, you're gonna be like Tony's right hand man, but you're gonna go out there and like be involved in a match and like
yeah.
on
Like
one
show
side of things,
favoritism,
like show like that's not
and it's like
you're supposed
not
to be
only
a
show
you know
favoritism, but show favoritism to a heel.
yeah. I don't know.
That didn't
I don't
make
know.
sense to me. That
Yeah,
I just was
I don't know.
interested in what your take was on that.
Well, I mean,
Um,
even with me not really remember, maybe that's when I don't know what I don't know how I missed that. I remember him with Renee. Maybe I stopped paying attention. I don't know. I don't know. But that to me, okay. That to me, I feel like is just at one point in this match, everybody's going to have people out there. That's what I think. At one point this match, everybody's going to have people out there, and Hangman's going to need somebody out there to represent him. Because, and that's because I think the Death Riders are going to get involved, right? And then I feel like it's going to be one of those things where the AEW locker
hold
room
on, wait.
or something else
There's
happens. We got to get out of here soon. We're over.
There's
But
well, no, but your mic. I don't know if it's my headphones or your microphone that's sounding weird because you have this like kind of like staticky sound when you're talking,
that's
and I
how
don't know.
you've sounded to me for like a month and a half. Every time we come on here for a month and a half, I don't think it comes over on the YouTube, because when I watch the replays, I don't hear it. But every
Oh,
time you talk for like 2 months, it's a constant static when you talk in my headphones for you.
now I'm hearing. Now I'm hearing it on your end. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
know
I've
what
heard
that's
I've heard
about.
it. I've heard it on your end for like 2 solid months now or so. I just assumed it was something on my end, but I don't think it comes across on the shows. I don't know if anybody in the chat can hear it, but I've heard that coming every time you talk. I've heard that static that you apparently are hearing from me now. I've heard that coming on your end for like over a month and like a while.
Wow.
But when I watch
Okay
the
then.
replays on YouTube, I don't hear it, so I've never said anything.
Yeah, I don't hear anything. Yeah, so okay,
But yeah,
that's
so
strange.
I don't know if that's a StreamYard thing or if that's I have no idea. I don't know if it's coming across that way on YouTube. I obviously don't have the volume up listening to it now because I'm chatting with you about it. But yeah, that's been a thing on your end for a while. So maybe it's just a StreamYard thing. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? But
I guess I'm gonna hear it now too.
God bless. God bless. But yeah, no, that is what World's End is looking like on Saturday. I would be shocked if there are not at least a couple pre-show matches announced before the show in a couple days. I would be shocked.
Yeah, probably.
Because there there is
On
going to be
Rampage tomorrow, there probably
yeah,
there's one or two.
yeah, there is going to be a 0 hour or a pre-show, whatever they're doing, and I would expect a match or
Oh god,
two,
this is
maybe even
terrible.
three, maybe even three.
This is genuinely awful. I don't know how you
Yeah,
put up
well,
with this for the last
welcome to
month.
I'm a professional. That's how. I don't even reference it because I'm just like I just
Well, because
assume
it just
something's not.
happened all of it. I wouldn't have
Yeah,
referenced it if it was
no,
like a
no, I know.
thing
I
that
just assume that it just happened. I'm not smart, so I just assume that it was something on my end that I don't know how to fix. Because I don't hear it when I hear myself talking in the headphones, but I hear it when you talk, and it's been that way for a while. But now all of a sudden you're hearing me, I think, the same way that I'm hearing you.
There's people here active in the chat. Do you hear a staticky weird sound when JPJ talks? Or is it just me? Just let me know in the chat.
My cat was in here, but I don't think he messed with the audio. Who knows? Hoosier, what's going on, man? Popping in. We're about to get out of here, dude. So thanks for popping in here at the end. Appreciate you. Drew and I are going to do the dang thing. I hope everybody enjoys World's End this weekend. Next week, we will be live next Thursday talking about the fallout from World's End. And next week, we're going to do a couple end of year fun things. All right. Hoosier saying he doesn't hear static. See, that's why I never said anything to you, because like I said, when I would watch the replays on YouTube, you didn't have any static when we were talking. We both sounded perfectly fine. So I was just like, okay, that must be something stupid on my end. I'm not going to know how to fix it, so I'll just deal with it. So I didn't say
the only reason why I mentioned it was because it just happened out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like the show started and it was like that.
Yeah.
You've been for 2 hours. You were totally fine, and then all of a sudden I hear the static.
I don't know. Well, hopefully we figure it out by Tuesday. But we're going to get out of here. Next week, like I said, we will be live, back to regular scheduled, live on Tuesday and Thursday here. Tuesday will be a New Year's Eve show, as we do Firmly WWE. We'll obviously be talking about the build-up to the Raw on Netflix, which this coming Raw is the last Raw before the Netflix era of WWE. So we will be talking about that in the lead up. But I also, like I said, I teased it last week. I want to do some year-end fun stuff. Nothing too crazy, but maybe Drew kind of give our top 3, wrestlers of the year in each promotion, top 3 matches, kind of like a little quick end of year.
Yeah.
Type things, maybe a couple predictions for 20. Yeah, maybe like 2 or 3 predictions for 2025, kind of fun shit like that. But we'll be reviewing the shows kind of normal, obviously reviewing World's End and talking all that through. But before we get out of here, Drew, do your thing. Let the people know where they can find you. And then, we'll be on our way.
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at the Drew Nicholas, as it says right down there. And you can find me on Blue Sky, just Drew Nicholas. No, the same profile picture, so you'll see on both of them, so you'll see me there, no problem. And collecting super chats and humper chats for Fightful's AEW Collision post show on Saturday nights with Rick Cresta and Iridian, and Roundtable Pro Wrestling podcast, and follow Firmly LW on Twitter as well, because we will be using that more. We promise we will be more active on that. And yep, that's it.
Hell yeah. You can find me at JPJ Loves Gaming on all social media platforms. You can also find me right back here later on tonight, 8 p.m., the flagship here at Love Wrestling, Between Two Beards with Pluggo. Tonight is a big one. We have our 4th annual Beardy Awards tonight. If you go at B2 Beards on social medias, you can see the link. You can still vote. I think we shut off voting like an hour before the show, and you can vote as many times as you want. So if you haven't voted yet, go to the B2 Beards Twitter account, find the link. There are 10 awards up for grabs tonight. So vote as many times as you like. Keep voting. And tonight, tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern, and you will see who's taking home some Beardy Awards this evening. Drew already told you, every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 a.m., you can find me and him right here chatting wrestling. Yeah. And you can follow me on YouTube, Twitch, all that fun stuff. And follow just Love Wrestling in total. We got a bunch of cool stuff going on. Other than that, we hope everybody had what?
Who's here saying that apparently the live, it's saying that the stream is starting now.
Is it really? I did not make that room. So I don't know. But maybe. I don't know. Pluggo maybe put the wrong date. I don't know. Whatever. But that'll be 8 o'clock tonight. Yeah. And that's where you can follow me. Hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas if you celebrate these last couple days, and we will see you on New Year's Eve as we're getting ready to end the year with a bang, Drew. That's what we're going to do next week. But until then, y'all know the drill. Stay safe, do good things, and Drew and I will see y'all real soon. And until then, peace out.